If you can believe it, I am back again at Jekyll Island's fishing pier, and right now I'm waiting for the sun to go down. The sun is starting to come down, but I'm still like an hour and a half or a little bit more maybe away from proper full-on sunset. But the light is so dramatic and so nice on the waves, and you know, it's been super windy these past couple of days, and so the water is quite lively, but because the wind is kind of moving around, it kind of gives this wrinkled effect to all the waves. So there's a lot of waves, there's wind is blowing it back and forth, so it's kind of chaotic. And with the light coming down, I can really up my shutter speed, lower my aperture, and really get into a very dramatic shot of the waves with a lot of contrast, the highlights popping up off the water. I usually say that I hate it when there's like all the little white bits of light reflecting off water. I think it's kind of chaotic and distracting, but in certain instances like these, I think it works really nicely, and it's subtle and it's not too like in your face in like glitter kind of way. I don't know. That's how glitter is annoying to feel. That's kind of how I feel about like all the little white bits on water bouncing up at you on like a bright day when you're taking photos of water. Also, if you've seen my other videos here at this location, Jekyll Island fishing pier, you'll know I've done a lot of shoots here when it's just gray and cloudy. And now it's like not super gray. It's gray kind of on one part, but there's sunlight, there's dramatic light, and it's a different time of day. And you'll see that maybe some compositions are similar, but the photos themselves give a completely different feeling, are completely new in their own respect. So that is another reason why this place is not only just like a photography gymnasium to try new photography and different things, but it's just another evidence that going back to the same place a few different times to try different photography is such a valuable thing to do as a photographer. I feel like it's all I talk about these days, but that is really the truth. This is one of those where you have to be very fast in your settings to get something properly exposed, because I see the bird flying. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. That's when I have my dials and muscle memory, so I know what I'm changing, so I can get this really nice contrast with the light fall off, hitting the water from the sky. That's this nice haze, and get the bird in focus real fast in a nice dark silhouette against the sky with the pier in the background and the bridge even further back. Very, very nice catch. a moment where I can really dial in my settings. I want that water to be almost overexposed and some bits actually overexposed. That really accentuates all these dramatic waves. Then I can use a framing device here of the pier and the railing coming in and out of frame, but really acting as a frame within the frame. We can find the focus in the water and the bridge further back. The bridge is just a decoration because the water, I think, here is the drama, it's the image, and we're really dialing up our settings to accentuate the water by lowering our aperture so that we have a little softer depth of field, and then also lowering our shutter speed so that we get a little bit more light on the water as well. So trying to balance that to get something that has this character and this feeling that I think this image has. One thing that I was thinking about is shooting manually. There's some people who just like shoot automatic or auto ISO, auto white balance, whatever, or auto aperture, whatever it might be, depending on your setup, autofocus even. I'm a completely manual shooter, and some people will say that shooting manually is the only real photography. I do not fall in that category. Shoot however you like. I started shooting on completely auto everything and slowly graduated to shooting manually because I got a camera that has a lot of dials on it that I could map towards shutter speed, ISO, and my lenses are all manual, so manual focus and manual aperture. So in that regard, it's tactile. I enjoy doing it. It's fun. And so that's how I became a manual photographer. So what does being a manual photographer like really mean and look like? Does it mean that every single shot I take, I'm changing the ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and focus every single shot? The answer to that is definitely not. I have the ability to change everything, and everything is set to how I want it. But the main things that I tweak on every shot are shutter speed and focus. Usually I'll try to stay at the same aperture for as long as I can, depending on which direction I'm looking at compared to, the sun, or if I'm shooting in deep shadows, I have to open, the aperture a little bit to get more light. But I try to stick around f2 to 3 and kind of keep it in the same area. I pretty much never change my ISO, and that's not because I'm like a low ISO snob. I keep it at 200, which is the lowest it can go. I'm not like a snob that says you can only shoot this ISO or else your images are grainy and bad. It's just one thing that I like to leave there. It's my third string tweak, and that's just also because I change my shutter speed all the time. So I like to shoot at a fast shutter speed for a lot of scenes, but other times I'll slow my shutter speed to get some longer exposure images. And then, of course, I pull focus on every single image that I take because I'm shooting them manually. So never feel like when you are shooting manually, that means you have to change everything. I think that makes it a lot more daunting and less accessible to newcoming photographers. But I would say if you're a new photographer, start shooting automatic from the start and then work your way up to changing your aperture, changing your focus, changing your shutter speed, ISO, however it's convenient to you and however it feels comfortable to the camera you have, the dials and settings that you have that's comfortable in your hand, that feels natural. I saw this guy standing there, and I spent some time trying to get him in focus and get him in a nice way that I could frame this image. He's leaning over. It's very suggestive. I think he's just waiting on one of his fishing lines to catch further down the pier, but it was so purple, such a nice hue, that I really wanted to capture that in an honest way. And so making sure that there's some information, like you can see on his shirt, that he's not just a full on silhouette, but that the background is not completely blown out either. So really dialing in, taking my time and framing this image. And this is one of my favorite ones that I've gotten. Another moment where you really don't want to make this all a silhouette, because I think this is a lot more thematic with the purple colors of the sky. But if this is just all black in terms of the people walking across the pier and the pier itself, all a silhouette, then you lose a little bit of the theme that the purple gives you, because the light source is actually off camera on the left. And so the silhouette here doesn't work as effectively, I wouldn't say. And so making sure that the shutter speed is low enough that you're getting some information in there whilst keeping everything in focus with your aperture when waiting to get them in a moment that I thought was favorable for the image. So you can see he's between two railings and you can see that he's walking, whereas the woman behind him is covering one of the rails. So it's not so distracting, and we're not losing like the action here. And so I think this image overall is one I'm very pleased with. That's kind of what I wanted to discuss in this video as I'm shooting manually and with a nice backdrop of the sunset going down at Jekyll Island Fishing Pier. Hopefully you're enjoying the footage, the photos, and all the videos that I'm making on this trip to Jekyll Island. There's plenty out and plenty more coming. So hopefully you'll subscribe to my channel to stay tuned to everything that I'm doing photography wise. All my content is photography based. So I really love some support, and I appreciate all of you who are returning and all of you who have supported me so far. So I've been Tony King. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.